Hey guys, how's it going? And happy Friday. I hope you all are doing good. World War III, question mark. Is it on the horizon? Has it already started? Are we in it now? What's going to happen here in the coming days, months, next year? I hate the thought to say years with an S, but I just don't know right now. Now, let me say this right out of the gate. I'm certainly hoping there is nothing like this, obviously. And I'm not trying to fearmonger and say that there is. However, if you type World War III into the news headlines, you'll see there's lots of talk about it internationally and domestically. Now, how is this going to affect all of us? Well, it could clearly affect all aspects of our life in the United States, throughout the world. And more specifically, how is it going to affect the Second Amendment community? Those of you who like to exercise the right to keep and bear arms, like to buy firearms, like to buy ammunition, things like that. Well, I'm not certain, and I hope for the best. And I will say this right now, things are going great. It's like a totally awesome time to get all of the ammo you need, all of the guns you need. Stuff's available, affordable. Right now is like literally the time. But will that change? I hope not. However, I've done live streams repeatedly on here talking about how much ammunition the United States sends to the Ukraine, how much gunpowder is used to make each one of these large artillery shells, how many small arms ammunition, crates, pallets, boatloads, shiploads. It seems like there's virtually no limit on how much the United States will send to the Ukraine, other places, Israel, throughout the whole entire world, right? We send it to the one side, we send some to the other side. We kind of send just enough here and there to where it seems like nobody ever really wins. And I understand that if you want peace, you need to prepare for war. And there is a time for peace and a time for war. And I'm not one of those that's naive enough to say there should never be wars and that sometimes they're not necessary. I mean, look, we've been in a perpetual war since the beginning of time because it always has been, currently is, and always will be a battle of good versus evil. But remember, our fight isn't against the flesh and blood. That's what the Bible says. Our fight is against principalities. And that's the overarching thing we always need to remember here. Now, in this case, I'm not saying there's any good guys or bad guys involved in these conflicts, escalating to wars, the potential for World War III. But I know a lot of you guys are good people, and you just want to kind of keep to yourself and be left alone. And you just want to make this world a little bit better for your children and your children's children, right? And a lot of you want to live in a constitutional representative republic, a republic, if you can keep it. That's what Ben Franklin said. Well, our founding fathers created the documents for that republic, didn't they? Starting with the Federalist Papers, the Anti-Federalist Papers, all of the journals, the writings, before the country was even declared, before we even declared our independence. Following that, the Declaration of Independence, beautiful document. In my opinion, I think the Holy Bible is the most beautiful document ever written. But once we get past that, some of these founding documents are some of the most beautiful things that were ever written, including the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And I love the whole Bill of Rights, and I talk about it every week because this needs to never get old. We need to make freedom pop culture again. We need to make the United States of America, this republic, pop culture again. And it should be the cool thing to be free. I don't know why so many people have wanted to follow Hollywood and the gazettes and the gazetteers and the fake news. And I just repeated myself, didn't I? But no, we need to keep reminding people every day that the Bill of Rights, this does not grant the government any powers. It forbids the government from treading on your natural rights. These are certain unalienable rights. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, wrote Jefferson, July 4th, 1776. These are the laws of nature and of nature's God. And shortly after the country was formed, it took about 10, 12 years, if you think about it, after the Declaration was written. We wrote a constitution. It's actually a good constitution. It has very, very limited federal government powers, and that's the way it should be. And we need to get back to that. as soon as possible. And they said, you know what, though? What about people's natural rights? What is the government going to do to defend and protect those? And a lot of the founding fathers said, we don't need to do that. It says in the Declaration of Independence that governments would be instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. See, the founding fathers agree that the only reason the government would be allowed to exist at all is to protect your natural rights. And they thought about it and they debated it and they said, no, we do need to write a Bill of Rights. So they wrote it in 1789, ratified, becoming part of the supreme law of the land, ratified in 1791. Now the whole Bill of Rights should be cherished and it needs to be followed by the government. But the Second Amendment, it's my favorite part, not for if, because if is long gone, but for when, they come for all of the rest. And I think about things like a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. Look, you can't be well-regulated if you don't have enough arms, if you don't have enough ammo. Now, to make sure we would have that, the right to keep and bear arms, it shall not be infringed. Now, there's some people that are blind and just don't understand what the founding fathers actually said. They think that, well, you have to be in a militia like the National Guard to be able to keep and bear arms. And I reject that. And you need to reject it too, because the founding fathers rejected that notion. You can look at the drafts of how they debated and deliberated on what the Second Amendment would be. And that's clearly not the case. However, the founding fathers also did not want a standing army in times of peace. We would have a standing navy, but the army would only be raised up in times of war. And we, the people who are exercising their right to keep and bear arms, would be the militia. The militia was instrumental and clearly a deal breaker in helping us win the Revolutionary War. You look at militias during the United States Civil War. I think it's fair enough to call that in many regards a second Revolutionary War. Wouldn't you guys say so? So we need to be well regulated. Doesn't mean extra regulations. There's also fools out there that think that it means, oh, if you have well regulated means you need all sorts of controls and all sorts of things like gun control regulations. No, that's not what regulated meant in that time, and it's not what it meant in the context of a well-regulated militia. It meant that you had to be well-trained. It meant you had to be at the ready. It meant that there had to be enough people that were in this militia, and it also meant that you needed to be well-armed, which would include the firearm itself. It could include edged weapons as well, sword, saber. Look, it's arms. It's not just firearms, but we tend to talk about guns the most right now because that's what a lot of us are into, and that's what they're coming after the most. In Michigan right now, like they're literally going on a fury, and actually other places. Arms. You also need the ammunition for the firearm, or it's not an actual arm. It wouldn't be a well-regulated militia if everybody ran around with an empty gun, right? So, yeah. Now, I think about how this comes in context with potential, and I'm not predicting that there's going to be one, but it's in the news and people are talking about it, again, domestically and internationally. And I think about how this could possibly impact our availability of things like ammunition. How there could be potential sanctions. You never know. There's sometimes weird alliances that are made when there's wars and conflicts. All it takes is a certain country to maybe stay out of a certain conflict or to ally with another. And the United States has always been quick to, under any president, whether it's Democrat or Republican, to put sanctions on there. And usually the very first thing they do when they sanction is they always go after the guns and the ammo first, don't they? Oh, yeah. It's happened under literally almost every administration. It doesn't seem to matter whether it's a Democrat or Republican, because when it comes to certain things, these are just two different sides of the same coin. And I get it, guys. Like, Republicans are usually for less gun control, and they tend to kind of do it a little slower and a little more weaselly. And the Democrats always want to ban everything at this point in time, no matter what. But without the proper ammunition and without people being able to actually afford it, I don't know if we'll have that well-regulated militia that's needed. Now, this was obviously not just created for hunting. And I know you guys are talking about hunting tonight, and hunting's great. Don't think for 1 minute I'm admonishing hunting or saying that it's a bad thing, but that's not why they wrote the Second Amendment. It was like completely implied that you hunted around the founding of this country, because for the most part back then, if you didn't hunt, you didn't eat. Now, of course, as free people, we get to enjoy hunting, and I believe you have the right to hunt. I believe you have the right to target shoot. You have the right to collect. You have the right to just stockpile and have it just because you want it. I mean, we're supposed to have property rights in this country too. But the Second Amendment was written to protect us from enemies, both foreign and domestic, to protect us against our own potentially, as they would have looked at it back then. I think we can take the word potentially out of it right now, but our own potentially tyrannical government, right? It was also to protect against foreign invaders. And if you look in even much more modern times from the founding of this country, it's a quote that's been out there a long time that you guys need to remember. One of the big commanders, I can't remember their exact title, of Japan during World War II said, should we invade the homeland? And they said, no, probably not. Because if we invade the continental United States, we'll find a gun behind every blade of grass. See, here's the beautiful thing, because I want peace. I'm sick and tired of all these perpetual wars. I wish the United States would have taken the warnings of Dwight D. Eisenhower when he left office during his farewell speech, his last chat to the people, when he said one of our greatest threats to this country was the military-industrial complex. Just think about that. The military-industrial complex. Like, you should be scared of that, actually, and you should reject that because that's not a good thing. But it's living alive and well in the United States right now. So you go back and you don't know what you don't know, right? Because maybe we would have been invaded a lot of times in the history of this country, except for they knew that there'd be a gun behind every blade of grass. I mean, there's more guns than people in this country. Although gun ownership rates have dwindled, the amount of guns are still actually increasing. So it basically means there's more guns than ever before, but the percentage of people has been dropping a lot over the years. It just means the people that do own guns are buying more and more and more. And I know a lot of you guys fit into the more and more and more category, and bless you for that. Hey, you do you. There's no such thing as having too many, in my opinion. And I just want people to leave me the heck alone. Is there anybody else like that? Like, I just want the government to leave me alone, and that's what the United States is supposed to be. But it appears they're never, ever, ever going to leave us alone, because the military-industrial complex, it's a hungry beast. With a lot of money, it can afford itself many senators, presidents, bureaucrats. That's called the deep state. That's the fourth branch of government that, scarily enough, is basically the unequal branch that doesn't have the checks and balances that all the rest of them do. Trump's going to get inaugurated here in a couple months, and many people say he's going to go after it like it's never been gone after before, and I hope so. I really, really do. Would I bet my life savings on it? No, of course not, but I'm optimistic, and I'm hoping that's going to happen. Trust me, as much as any of you. But at the same time, to feed this machine, there needs to be war. And there's always conflicts. There's always armed conflicts. There's always stockpiling of stuff. And we've been stockpiling for a long time. Russia's been stockpiling for a long, long time. China, more lately. But China's been stockpiling to the moon and back. They have the largest army in the world. Some people say, and I hope this isn't true, but some people say their navy could be pretty close to ours in a little bit amount of time. I've even heard people say it might already be almost on par with the United States. Now, you guys will be sure to tell me how wrong I am on that in the chat. I'm just telling you what I've been listening to, and I've been listening to a lot of experts on this topic. There's a lot of people with munitions throughout this world. And I remember this whole thing in Russia. I'm not an expert on it. I just want to kind of talk about it from an American standpoint, just a regular person standpoint. Look, guys, I'm a landscaper for a living. I was out picking up leaves today, and But I think a lot of times regular people just like me and just like you kind of understand different aspects of this than all of the highfalutin Harvard, Oxford, Yale, Princeton graduates that sit up there high on the Capitol Hill, that they know what's best for you in every aspect. Even though most of us are like, dude, what's best for me is to just leave me the heck alone and let me exercise my natural God-given rights. But I remember a time when NATO versus Russia, because that's basically why it was put in place, right? They said, you guys stay over there, we'll stay over here. This is all for world peace. It's always for world peace every time. All of these wars are for world peace. Don't ever forget that. These perpetual wars that we never even win. But we're in them for a long time, and a lot of innocent people die, unfortunately. And a lot of freedom is lost, too, with the surveillance state. But there was a time when it was like, well, Russia, you just stay over there. We'll stay over here. We'll have the Western allies. Then there's the Eastern Bloc. And NATO will make sure and protect all these European countries from Russia. Russia, Russia, Russia. It's been the talk pretty much my whole life, actually. Except for when Obama made that gaffe. Remember when Romney was running against Obama? And look, I'm not a Romney fan, like, at all. He's like total deep state. It just makes me squirm hearing his name. But this was pretty funny. If you remember when Romney was debating Obama and the moderator asked, what's the biggest threat to the United States coming up? And Romney said, Russia. And Obama came back and they say he won the debate and possibly even won the election. He's like, oh, the 90s called and they want their foreign policy back. Shows you how wrong Obama was back then and how wrong he was for 8 years. And in my opinion, he's probably still running the country right now. I mean, somebody is. This current former vice president, he doesn't even know where he is. They asked him his foreign policy, and he said, I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize Shubin and national pressure. And then there's Kamala, I say Kamala, like the dromedary. She can't even pronounce her own name. So somebody's still running this military-industrial complex. And if I had to opine, it's probably actually him. But they said, Russia, you stay over there, and we're just going to protect. And then over the years, NATO kept chipping in closer and closer into the Eastern Bloc. And they've got Russia pretty much surrounded. Now there's all these calls for the Ukraine to join NATO. Now, there's an old saying about sometimes you let a sleeping dog lie, and maybe a sleeping bear lie, and don't kick a sleeping bear, but it's been beyond kicking it. And in my opinion, the United States, as well as much of other parts of the West, have been trying to start a war with Russia for a long, long time. Now, I'm not here being a sympathizer for Russia at all. Like literally, I don't look. I'm an America first. To the point where some people would rip on me because if I had to pick, I'd probably rather be an isolationist than the world's policeman. Now, there might be an answer somewhere in between, but that whole the world's policeman, where we have to get involved in everything in the whole world at all periods of time, I'd probably rather just be an isolationist that, like, our country doesn't even talk to other countries before I'd rather be in the situation we are now. So what do people think's going to happen? I mean, Putin is more vulnerable than people think. Yeah, he rules with an iron fist, and I'm pretty sure he's probably not a very nice guy. I don't think really any of these world leaders are particularly good people at heart, to be honest with you. That's my opinion. And I believe a lot of them, if not almost all of them, if not all of them, are narcissists and they're power hungry. And a lot of them are just looking for power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So don't mistake what I'm saying here. I'm not a Putin sympathizer. But I'm not going to sit here and simp for Ukraine either, because this is one of the most corrupt money laundering countries in recent history that I know of. And I don't even know a whole lot about this, but you can just know a little bit about it and know how corrupt that is. Especially with, where's Hunter? Oh, he's working on the natural gas board at Burisma. You remember all that? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's going on and is going on, and we probably don't even know 1% of it. But Putin has people to answer to in his country too, because even somebody, if you want to call him a dictator, I'm not necessarily calling him that or not, but even if he is a totalitarian dictator, totalitarian dictators fall too, actually. And there's always threats of coups within the government of Russia. There was just recently one that I was hearing about. And people over there in Russia are sick of dying too. You know, many Ukrainians have died to the point where they're going to lose like several generations of people. But a lot of Russians are dying. A lot of things are getting plundered in Russia. There's a war going on over there, right? It's not good for either side. And Putin can't just sit there and look like a female dog to all of his people, or he's not going to be in power much longer. You know, they've drawn different lines in the sand. We've drawn different lines in the sand. And it looks like to me that our current former vice president, with some of his recent authorizations or permission slips that he's given to Zelensky, is trying to escalate this stuff. And in my opinion, our country's trying to get us into World War III right before Trump gets inaugurated, to be like, yeah, you're going to have world peace now, too late. We just got it started. That's my opinion, but it definitely seems like that's something that's going on right now. So with that said, I don't know. I'm going to read the chat afterwards, and I'm kind of skimming it right now to see what you guys think about this current situation. But with the chat, not really talking about what I'm talking about at all right now. I'll just keep talking to the camera, and I'll reread the chat because there might be some people who have some thoughts and opinion on what I'm talking about. And shout out to all the people who watch on replay. Definitely let me know in the comments what you think. Are we on the verge of World War III right now? Well, I certainly think we're stirring the pot. I know Russia has changed its nuclear attack rules, for lack of a better word. So it seems like we're a little bit closer. There was an intermediate ballistic missiles, from what I understand, launched, hit, massive destruction in part of Ukraine by the Russians just a couple days ago in retaliation to all of these missiles that the U.S. is providing to Ukraine. And from what I understand, the current former vice president of the U.S. has sent these over there and sent them that permission or authorization to do. So, of course, you're going to hear from the West, if you will, that, oh, well, Russia started it. Of course, from Russia, you're going to hear that Ukraine or the United States or the Western allies or NATO, whatever you want to call it, started it. They're both going to say the other side started it. But at the same time, Russia's a big country. Russia's supplying like tons of energy to Europe. I mean, look at Germany, for example. Look at other countries. And I hope we're not on the verge of World War III, like literally more than anything, because I can't stand these types of wars. And if there does need to be a war like this, I don't think it needs to be a world war. I think maybe if there's two countries over there feuding with each other, they need to figure it out between themselves. Now, again, keep in mind, Trump, he's not actually legally technically the president-elect yet. Now, hold on. Stop throwing the tomatoes. I know. Shout out to all the Trumpers out there. Look, I explained to you guys why I voted for him a couple weeks ago. But legally, he's actually not the president-elect, because you're not the president-elect till Congress actually confirms those electors. But we'll call him president-elect just for argument's sake, because that's what everybody calls the president after they won. But he's actually legally not president-elect until he actually becomes elected through the Electoral College. So think like January 6th, and then he's president-elect for a couple weeks till he gets inaugurated. But I digress. President-elect Trump is basically saying one of his main priorities is to stop this crap between Russia and Ukraine as president-elect before he even takes office. I really, really hope so. That was one of the most appealing things to him. Him banning the bump stock, that was not appealing to me. Him calling for red flag laws was not appealing to me. Him ending war was. Okay. Him saying that Ron Paul, well, look, him saying he was going to create this Doge, right? Department of Government Efficiency, now headed up by Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, and then Musk said he would like Ron Paul to join. I'm like, Ron Paul, like audit the Fed, eliminate the Fed? Dude, the Federal Reserve is one of the biggest downfalls to the United States of America, right? So, yeah, that's actually why I decided I would vote for him in the end. I hope Trump can do it. Do I think Trump can figure this out? Actually, I do think so. But I think so as far as like probably. I think it would be a bit naive to say Trump can just unequivocally stop all this stuff, because we don't know what level of escalation or what level of war there will be on the day that Trump actually becomes the commander-in-chief. Now, if you look at the way it has been for the past couple years, you can start to make educated guesses. And here's me hoping as much as anybody that it doesn't escalate any further than it is right now, or that it has been for the last couple years in the next 2 months. But I don't know if we could guarantee that, do you? Well, we're going to talk about this a little bit more. But before I want to thank all of you guys for the many ways you help support the channel. Thank you to all of my YouTube channel members. You guys have access to extra emojis. I need to get some more behind the scenes content for my supporters soon. And I promise you I'll put in the effort and make sure you guys get some extra content. But you guys do get extra content as well. Also, my Patreon supporters, same thing. Thanks to all of you. And you guys also get extra content from time to time. And also my local supporters. Locals is a different site, censorship free. I suggest all of you join, because there's deals on stuff that I'm posting over there multiple times a day that you're going to feel very, very bad for yourself. And you'd literally be kind of dumb if you didn't know some of these deals that are going on. Like, I'm not joking. Don't take my word for it. Just go over there and look. You're going to be like, wow, this dude spends like a lot of time finding some crazy stuff. And I do. And you guys won't be disappointed. Now, you can join locals totally free, or it's a way you can support the channel monthly, yearly, just to help keep it going, because you guys are my sponsors. And thank you to all of you who leave generous super chats. And I do see that I have one tonight that I am going to read here in 1 second. It's also important you follow me on these other censorship-free sites. If you look at the links down in the description, follow me on Myriad Social. Been posting awesome deals on stuff there. Also, Twitter X, where I can post stuff that I definitely just can't post here on YouTube. Also, check out Locals, like I just said, and their sister company. See, YouTube. Let me say something quick about YouTube. The former CEO was Susan WikiWiki. She didn't like this channel so much. I mean, she always had a crush on me, let's face it. But she didn't like the channel so much. Moody, typical woman, right? Shout out to all the sane women out there. Is there? Now, shout out to the women that watch. But look, Susan WikiWiki, she didn't like the channel so much. But then she died. She did die. But now the ghost of Susan WikiWiki still haunts this channel. So I'm going to say go check out that site in the description. And it rhymes with fumble. Rhymes with fumble. It's green. You know, you could call it that big green meanie. YouTube can't stand that site right now, trust me. But check that out as well. And you guys are going to want to get over there and make sure you have your accounts there in Locals, because I'm going to be streaming here for, probably about another 30 minutes tonight. And then I have a live stream scheduled on Locals and that other site that rhymes with fumble. And we're going to go over there because we can do lots of stuff that we don't do here on our YouTube live streams. And I want to show you guys some pretty cool stuff that you're not going to want to miss. And we can touch guns there while we're live and do all kinds of other cool stuff like that. PSI Lord 87 with a $10 super chat. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. He says, to be honest, I do not think a World War III will happen. Good. I pray that you're right. Putin and Kim Jong-un are always all talk and no show. Okay. But AAC from PSA will always have ammo for us in the USA, but I'm still cautious. Dude, I literally was just down at PSA, a little less than 2 months ago now, 7 weeks ago. Toured the facility, watching them make many calibers, including the 7.62 by 39. I've showed you guys some pictures from that. I posted more of that over on Locals and Fumble, we're going to call it right now, right? But look, Yes, that's awesome. They don't have government contracts. They don't sell to militaries. They don't even sell to police. I mean, they'll sell like to an individual policeman, but they don't even do police department contracts. So, yes. However, it's called supply and demand. I would say right now, guys, like this Black Friday season specifically, but especially up to the new year, if you need, it's time to get. Because here's why. Look, we have Vista Outdoors, largest domestic ammo producer. They're selling off to a foreigner. What's going to happen with that? I just don't know. But right now, it's available. Winchester is saying a 10% price increase on the new year. A lot of foreign ammo is keeping prices down. There's always been tension of Turkey being in NATO or not. Or, I mean, look, Turkey's been a tumultuous thing for many, many years. I'm not going to get into all that, but there's a lot there. But that's where a lot of our cheap ammo and good ammo comes from, actually. That's where a lot of our cheap and, quite frankly, really good firearms come from. You just don't know what can happen if stuff escalates and other countries start getting drug in. So I like to get stuff when the time's right. I really do. All right. I am going to have to read the chat afterwards to see if anybody has any opinions on what's going on over there. But look, I just type in World War III into Google, which is where I wanted to type it. I know some people are like, no, use DuckDuckGo or Brave or use whatever. I like using Google because that's what normies use. And let's face it, we're on a Google site right now. So it does work best for me to be using the Google browser and all of that while I'm using this Google product that we're streaming on right now. It just works better with it because, well, they own the same companies, right? But I just typed into Google World War III. Here's the title here. World War III has officially begun, Ukraine's ex-top general says. Putin, Ukraine, long-range missiles, and why there's talk about World War III. The threat of world war is serious and real, quote, Poland says, as Putin steps up. Europe preps for World War III as secret German docs reveal, this is from the New York Post, Europe preps for World War III as secret German docs reveal plans for 800,000 troops in case Russia invades NATO. I mean, I'm just saying, think about all those countries over there. Think about a lot of them that are big ammo producers. Think about Czech Republic. It's over there. I haven't seen any ammo coming from Bulgaria in like 2 years, essentially, since this conflict started. Romanian ammo, a little bit, but not much. Not since this conflict started. Polish ammo, not really much. Not since this started. But there's still lots of ammo coming in from Czech Republic right now. What happens if more countries have to join the war? Now, they're going to take care of their own. They're going to take care of their allies. They're going to take care of military contracts every time, no matter what. Now, somebody mentioned AAC earlier. That's an exception, not the rule. The big United States ammo companies, hold on while I just feather my camera there for you guys. The big ammo conglomerates in the U.S., the big dogs, they're always going to prioritize the U.S. military contracts, the bureaucrats, the 3-letter, 4-letter agencies, the deep state, and then the police, whether it be local police, state police, whether it be whatever. They prioritize anything wearing a uniform way more than they'll ever prioritize you. And that's just the facts of the matter, with some exceptions. Okay? I think of places like AAC. I think about my neighbor that's just down the street from here, Phoenix Ammunition. That would be an exception. I think about RPM. That's Rockville Precision Munitions, located in Middle Tennessee. Those guys, no, they're not actually selling to all of the troops and the cops and all of this. But as great as these companies are, and dude, shout out to all three of them, like literally. Like, and I mean it too. Like, I literally know the owners of all three companies, okay? And I'm actually like, I'm not joking. Like, I literally personally know all 3 owners of those 3 ammo companies. And I know that they're good people. If you guys want to see my tour of Phoenix Ammunition, check my channel. It's been a few years ago, but Justin's a good dude. Lee from RPM, good dude. Just got done. He was literally my roommate for a week when I went down south. Josiah, the co-founder of PSA, good personal friend of mine. And by the way, if you haven't seen that live stream with me and Josiah, just go back and check the channel. It's a few streams ago now. We had a great time. So trust me, nobody needs to convince me that there are some really good companies here. They're going to take care of the American citizens first. But they don't make enough ammo to supply the whole country. And it's not even close. So here's what I'm not doing tonight. I'm not predicting there's going to be an ammo shortage right now. I'm not predicting that ammo is going to go way up in price. I think it's fair to predict it is going to go up in price because Winchester has said theirs is going to go up in price. Once one company does it, it makes it a lot easier and more likely for other companies to do it. So I would say I think probably ammo is going to be going up in price here right around the new year. All right. I think also we have Black Friday deals that are hitting hard, like really, really good. Check out my Myriad social if you just want a real quick way. Go over there. Okay. Look, they're a censorship-free site that's actually like on the blockchain too. So they're decentralized. I wish more people would go over there because I'm tired of centralized big tech stuff. But you can just go check out my deals timeline and you'll see just a couple from the last few days. Locals, you'll see what I mean if you watch these streams that I'm going to be doing. And actually just about 25 minutes from now, you'll know what I mean. I'm like super eager. I've been buying some stuff myself. But no, I'm not predicting, ammo is going to be empty on the shelves. I'm not predicting that. I'm literally not. I'm not predicting that it's going to double or quadruple in price. But I just know I haven't seen a better time than right now in a long time. Like a long, long, long time. So it's stuff for us to think about. Now, I've also had people lately say, look, the threat for gun control is over now. There's the least likelihood of gun control that there's been in a long time or that there's ever been. Well, I have a long answer for that, and I have a short answer. Now, my short answer is BS. No, that's totally wrong. But I'll explain. I live in Michigan, right? And I've done, I think, the premier coverage on what's been going on with these Michigan House bills and Senate bills. Look, you guys actually spoke, which I really appreciate, and rattled their cages and got them to amend that really, really bad Senate bill in Michigan. Look, it's still really, really bad. Like, even a scintilla of gun control is really, really bad and like 100% repugnant to the Constitution. And as Marbury v. Madison, early 1803 Supreme Court precedent said, it should all be void. So I don't concede that it's okay, but we got them to reverse part of that Senate bill in Michigan where it's no longer going to ban concealed carry almost everywhere. And it's just going to add these buildings, which is, check my live stream last week. If you're new here, welcome. I talked for about an hour straight on that exact topic. But it all depends where you live. Look, the Trump slump. Yeah, prices are already dropping on many, many things. I've seen fuel drop at the pump. Haven't really seen food prices come down yet. Just remember, we're still in the current former vice president's economy. Ammo, firearms, things like that are already dropping right now. And that's like really, really good. And I hope it stays forever. Usually nothing really good lasts forever, though. But at the same time, we have 50 states. And if you look at states like Michigan, where the Dems still have the trifecta right now till the end of the year, they have the Democrat-controlled House, Senate, and Governor, and many other real beauties. The AG, the Secretary of State. And when I say real beauties with these type, we mean in a totally different kind of way. These are not good-looking people on the inside or out. And that's an understatement. I'm keeping it very family-friendly. The governor of Michigan, she'd like to give you communion. Did any of you guys take her up on that offer? Do you remember that? She'd like to give you communion. No, these people are sick and they're evil. But while they still control the legislature and the executive, they're cramming down gun control like at a fervent pace right now. Like they're literally just cramming it through. Now, they don't have session this week. I believe they have next week off. These bills are still getting ready to be crammed down our throats, and I hope not. I hope we can stop it, but probably still going to become law in Michigan. So anyone that says like gun control threats are at an all-time low, no, because Trump got elected, because Michigan voters flipped to where the next session, it doesn't start till January, guys. Don't forget, the current former vice president is still in power right now. The Dems still control the Michigan House right now. It's going to flip to Republican in January in Michigan, though, and in the United States Executive and the United States Senate, the United States House. Have they finally finished counting the votes in Pennsylvania and California? I mean, this crap's ridiculous. But because these majorities are changing is why they're cramming so much gun control down our throats in Michigan. And it's not just Michigan. It's going on in other places. I told you guys this before, and I meant it. And this is less worse. It qualifies as less worse, being totally honest. We'll probably get a little gun control under Trump. I mean, we got a little bit before. You always get a little bit of gun control with Republicans, but there won't be as much. I'm sure there won't be as much of a threat as there are with Democrats. But things are never completely smooth sailing when you're in this space, when you're a Second Amendment advocate, when you're trying to buy ammo, when you're trying to buy firearms. It's just never the case because the other side never, ever, ever, ever stops, right? And then you look at things that are going on overseas. They can literally just say real quick, like, hey, Czech Republic didn't do what we wanted them to do. Now all their ammo is banned. Look, I'm not jinxing you with that. I hope that doesn't happen to me and you. But, like, we've seen this stuff happen before. And they don't even really get held accountable at the polls for that. It's a way that they can go through, right, and kind of do some gun control real quick, and nobody really ever blames anybody for it. It's economic sanctions. Things like that. What's happening, Loco? He says, greetings from Phoenix, AZ, baby. Corruption capital of the country, unfortunately. Dude, Arizona. Oh, geez. Don't even get me started there. How many times Kerry Lake's gotten gypped? Governor, senator? I mean, trust me. I wasn't leaving you guys out, but thanks for reminding me. Hey, I guess Michigan's not the only corrupt state, right? Our friend Joe Piketty, what's happening, man? Look, he's got it pretty good as far as Alabama goes with the 2A, right? I mean, Alabama's a pretty red state. To say there's a super majority in the Alabama State House and Senate would be an understatement of Republicans. So, and a lot of this just depends where you live too. Piketty's sitting there. How you doing, man? I hope you're doing good. He's been around a long time, guys. A lot of you guys have been around a long time. Good to see all of you. G23, Mike McClune. But look, and the Michigan Supreme Court, Wafagoey. Yeah, don't even get me started, man. You know I've done 2-hour rants just on Michigan. Not tonight, because we're going to head over to those censorship-free sites, locals, and the one that rhymes and fumble in just a few minutes. But look, way down south. Shout out to people down south, by the way. I'm already making plans to go down south to the state of South Carolina here in March. But look, late March, just got back from Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, beautiful state. Wow. West Virginia, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, Michigan, been through all those states very recently. But some of you guys, especially if you're way down south, you're like, look, dude, there ain't nobody after our guns down here, and good. Don't take that for granted, though. Look, no matter how red your state is, guys, no matter how many gun-toting people there are, don't just take it for granted, because they're after your guns everywhere. I think you guys know that, though. You don't really need to tell a Southern boy to stay vigilant. I've learned that much. Look, I get it. Just being a visitor, you can't say like, oh, I know what it's like to be a Southerner. No, I don't, but I do enjoy it down there. But I have learned this, and I think I could bet a lot of money. You don't need to tell a Southern boy to stay vigilant. But just keep your heads on a swivel, guys. Trust me. Because this time that we're in is a very strange time where they're trying to shove gun control down our throat like crazy. Jane Locke, hold on a minute. Jane Locke's in Michigan. Wait, are you saying you're in North Carolina like right now? Awesome. Hopefully Jane didn't move without telling me. I was just at Jane's house a couple weeks ago. Jane lived in Michigan. Now she lives in South Carolina. See how quick this stuff goes? Right, Mateo? What's going on in Kentucky? Is Mateo in the chat tonight? I don't know if I saw him in the chat tonight or not, but I was talking to him earlier. We've been talking about Kentucky. Oh, I know what Mateo's been doing. He's been taking advantage of the deals, buying ammo this time. Lots of goodies coming in soon. Oh, I know. We're going to talk about those over on Locals and Fumble, right? He fumbled the ball. I was watching the Cleveland Browns versus the Pittsburgh Steelers last night a little bit. I don't even watch football, but I was up eating at a restaurant. They had it on the TV. Like, I don't have TV is what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? How can you afford TV when you're in the 2A community? You know what I mean? I think a lot of you guys are done. You know what I mean, right? But look, I don't know. Are you a Steelers fan, McLean? Maybe he's not, because look, there's Eagles and there's different. That might have been fighting words. We're still friends, right, Mike? But look, PA, right, versus Ohio. And you got to watch yourself in some of these states. That's like in Michigan. Dude, are you a state fan? Are you a U of M fan? Me, I'm like, I'm not a fan of any of these educational, industrial complex, indoctrination centers. So I'm not a fan of none of it. And I stopped watching football for the most part when they started kneeling, right? They kneeled. Do you guys remember all that? Now they're doing the Trump shuffle where he kind of, you know what I mean? And then he kind of shakes his butt and it's real weird. Football players are doing the Trump shuffle. But look, I was watching this guy running and it was snowing like crazy in that Browns Steelers game. And boom, fumble. Go to that site. The link's in the description that rhymes with fumble as soon as we're done here. Or Locals. Or both, actually. Uh-oh. We're waiting for him, Mateo. Mike McClune. We're waiting to see what he says. I just said, Mike McClune, you a Steelers fan? But you got to watch yourself because, look, guys, we have 50 states in this country, and unless you live there, you have to be very careful because some of these interstate rivalries are like, ooh, wow. I made the mistake one time I was in Georgia. You know what I'm saying? Some of you guys appreciate this. You've got Georgia. It's surrounded by several states. But let's focus on this one particular area. Georgia and Alabama. Okay. So I'm in Georgia. Dude, that's all people in the South talk about is college football, right? So we're talking. In the college, I can watch a little more than the NFL, to be honest with you. And maybe they've stopped kneeling in the NFL. I don't know. I'm just telling you guys the truth. I stopped watching it when they were kneeling. I said, I ain't watching this crap. Makes me want to puke. Look, our nation's in distress right now. I can't wait till I can turn that flag up. But I believe we're still in distress. Look, we're still under the current former vice president right now. I think you have the First Amendment protected right to burn a flag. I do. And I think you have a First Amendment protected right to kneel for it. Actually, I do. However, though, these things come with consequences. And when I saw them kneeling for that flag, it got me so ticked off. I said, screw all this. And I stopped watching. But anyways, I'm down in the great state of Georgia. Anybody know anything about Georgia? Do I have anybody from Georgia in the house? All right. They're talking college football. I'm sitting there thinking, well, I've watched some Alabama games. You guys familiar when they say roll tide? Anybody heard of them? So I'm in Georgia, right? I'm like, roll tide. And they're like, let me at him. And they're fighting each other. Like the one dude's like punching his buddy. He's like, let me at him first. Like they're fighting each other to try to see who can knock me out the quickest. Like piling over each other just to, I'm like, oh, you're supposed to say go dogs when you're in Georgia. Okay. Go dogs. I said roll tide in the state of Georgia. So you know what I mean? So you got to watch yourself in some of these places. Oh, yeah, the red clay. I love the red clay, actually. Georgia, peaches, pecans. Oh, yeah. I'm hoping someday I'll make my way down to Alabama. I've not really been. Actually, I've never been, but I've been to Georgia, been to Florida. When you're in certain parts of Georgia, you don't say roll tide. I'm going to give you guys some advice. Don't say it. Don't say it. I mean, it can be kind of, nice people down there. Nice people until you get some of these big time college football rivalries mixed up. Then you can get in a little bit of trouble. Okay. And I remember, man, I remember Stafford that was the Detroit Lions quarterback forever. He was a Georgia Bulldog and stuff, I was just thinking to myself, oh, they're cool with each other, and I know Alabamans and Georgians are cool with each other and stuff. Like I get all that. Not on Saturdays when they're playing football. Not so cool. Not so cool. Right, guys? Crimson Tide fans are straight up rabid. See, I don't live down there, Patrick. You know what I mean? That'd be like me down in Florida, and I'm hanging out with some Florida State guys. Deion Sanders played for Florida State. Does anyone remember that? So I'm down there with some Seminoles, and I'm like, go Canes, go Hurricanes, and I'm wearing a Miami Hurricanes. See, that can be fighting words, just like U of M versus Michigan State. It happens all over the place. Has McClune come back yet, guys? He might be working, though. Sometimes he's working, and he just can say hi real quick. Did he say is he a Steelers fan or is he an Eagles fan? Ooh. He might be an Eagles fan. That's why he's gone now, guys. Ooh. What's happening, Mike? He'll probably be in the locals chat tonight. He'll let us know. You know what I mean? Auburn? Ooh, Tiger versus Tiger? Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about the South for a few minutes, guys. And let me know if you have any questions about this whole World War III thing, because I probably don't have the answer, but I'll tell you what, man, I'm just kind of sitting here looking at things right now, and I'm like, I hope not. I really, really hope not. Yeah, you don't ever rock Crimson Tide in Georgia. See, I admit it, guys. It's a huge mistake. That was my whole warning tonight. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not even worth it. Don't even go there. And I have friends that live down there too. I was hanging out with friends. My friends just ran. They're like, dude, we're just going to step aside and watch. Like, hey, man, I'm not particularly well-spoken sometimes, right? Good peaches. Now, look, when I go down to Georgia, again, they have, it seems like dinner, like the event I go to, they have lunch and dinner there. And it's pretty much for dessert. You can have any desserts you want as long as it's peach cobbler. And I don't mind that, though. It's a nice change because up here in Michigan, we're not really known for growing peaches too much, although you can actually. I have had customers before with peach trees in their backyard. And I pay attention to that because, I'm a landscaper and I prune bushes and small trees and all that, but not really so much. But lots of apples and cherries in Michigan. So you'd be more likely to run across like a apple or cherry pie or cobbler in Michigan, which is good. I love both. But I don't want to say peach cobbler doesn't exist in Michigan, but not like it does in Georgia. Word up Russia. I almost said word you Prussia, because Prussia's you know what I'm saying. Word up Russia says, come on down. Alabama welcomes you. Well, thanks, man. This spring, I'm going to be going as far south as South Carolina. I'm not going to be going any further. But a couple months ago, I was down in Georgia. But I've never made it to Bama yet. Look, you want me to talk about Florida being pro-red flag law? I will. No, I don't want to piss off the Floridians, but you guys know what's going on down there. Let me say this first. You got it a lot better than Gretchen, okay? And what we got in Michigan. So don't think I'm ripping on y'all. I'm not. But red flag Rick Scott, never seen a red flag law he doesn't like. Signed it as governor. Advocates for it currently in the Senate. Don't believe me, it's on his Senate page. I hate that it's true more than anybody does. It's on his U.S. Senate website right now. His current website. He never took the post down. Pam Bondi, red flag Bondi. Look, guys, Trump's called for red flag laws. That's what I'm worried about. That's the number one thing I'm worried about under this next Trump administration is red flag laws. I really am. And yeah, there's just something about Florida, not the people that live in Florida. Everyone that lives in Florida chime in. I know you guys don't, but there's something about Republican politicians from Florida loving red flag laws. So I am concerned about that, actually. Yeah. I am really worried about it. See, Joe just ate some peach cobbler. Nice, man. Nice. You guys got a lot of peaches going on in Alabama too, I assume, right? What's happening, Ross? Nice to see you, man. Bill Alexander, what's up, dude? Dale, Pillbox. Nice to see you guys. Good people in the chat tonight. Okay, hold on. Yeah, there's some peaches in Michigan, Jane. Absolutely. Not like there is down there, though. Dude, they're even messing up the cherry industry in Michigan, this governor. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Well, we have pears, but you don't see pear cobbler so much, Dale, do you? I mean, you know what I'm saying, guys? Of course we have pears. I'm not going to forget that, but I like pawpaws, actually. Does anyone ever eat pawpaws? There's a city called Paw Paw, Michigan. Lots of cows up here. What's up, Frag Out Design Studios? There is lots of cows. I like cows. Cows are really gentle animals. I like them. Uh-oh, we see a go blue in here. See? And then we see go green and white. Some of these, like I said, this is okay. This is okay. We're going to do these ammo deals I'm going to show you guys in a few minutes here are so good. You guys will forget you were ever mad at each other. Okay? You guys will forget you were ever even mad at each other about these sports rivalries. Trust me. Red flag laws are like pre-crime in that movie Minority Report. Dude, like, take the guns first, then due process. Yeah, that's not only antithetical to the Second Amendment, but almost the entire Bill of Rights, 14th Amendment, the Constitution. It's literally like red flag laws are as bad as it gets. We have red flag laws in Michigan right now. We have them in many states right now, and they need to go away, like, real quick. Good night, Rich. Aggerizer. See, some of you guys switch your some of you switch your old avatars around where I don't recognize you anymore. My mom made a mean pear pie, he said. Oh yeah. Yeah, you can do that. You can do the pear pie, but you just don't see it like at the local Walmart, right? Mama's pear pie? Now that would be something I'd like to try for sure. Fire otter. My dad has several pawpaw trees right there in the yard, actually. Could go over there when they're ripe and grab them whenever I want. Actually, usually, well, it depends. Depends if the critters let you have any, because they like them too. What's up, Girl Carpenter? I hope we're not screwed. I didn't predict anything dire tonight, but we need to think about these things. We really do need to think about it. I know right now is a good time that if you don't have what you need or don't have what you want, right now is a good time for it. We could have some choppy waters, or dare I say rough waters ahead. You never know. I think they're trying to do everything they can to make the Trump administration to set it up for failure. I don't think anyone will argue with me on that. Now, is the Trump administration going to be perfect? No. Is Trump literally a miracle maker? No, of course not. But at the same time, I think they're doing everything they possibly can to make sure, in their opinion, the current former vice president, Obama, whoever it actually is, Whoopi, whoever's running the Whoopi Goldberg, that isn't even her real name. None of these people even know their real name. Whoever's running all this stuff, they're going to try to make stuff as bad as possible, I believe. Yeah, no World War III, says Pillbox. Dude, I don't want any wars at all. And I'm not a libertarian either. I think you guys already know that have been watching. If anyone's new tonight, welcome. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, all of that. Follow me on the other sites down in the description. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a libertarian. But I do draw some things from certain libertarians. And I like a lot of things Rand Paul has said and done. I don't agree with Ron Paul on everything. Rand Paul in Kentucky, I don't like him quite as much as his dad, but I like Rand Paul in Kentucky. So I do like some libertarians, and I have friends that are libertarians, like real people that are libertarians, of course, but not all. But I don't know, like if I had to pick, I'd be closer to an isolationist than world's policeman. That's for sure. Now, I know like being a complete and utter isolationist, probably not possible in this world now. Maybe it's never been possible. But like if like neocon, world's policeman's here and isolationist is all the way over here. Okay, I'm like here though, okay? I'm like way closer to like isolationist. Just leave us the heck alone. If you attack us, we'll defend you so hard you'll wish you didn't. But like get out of all these other countries. I'm way closer to that than I am the world's policeman and trying to affect gender studies in Pakistan and trying to look. We protect. Just think about how stupid this is. This country's stupid. We protect Germany, all right? They don't even pay their portion of the tab. Trump made them pay up, and it was like the first time ever. They're back to not paying their portion of the tab again. We protect Germany from Russia. Okay, I'm going to leave you guys with this. Then we're going to go on to our stream that I already had scheduled on these other sites. We're protecting Germany from Russia. What's up, Nevada Memes? Make sure you give him a follow over on X while you're following me over there. I saw him in the chat earlier. Nevada Memes, 1864, right? Now, look. He'll tell you about this. I think he's a little bit on the libertarian side. But I don't like to classify people because I don't like titles. I actually think we should follow George Washington and not even have political parties at all. That was like his dire warning, is to not have political parties. But we in NATO, we protect Germany from Russia, essentially for free compared to what we should be charging them. Okay. Meanwhile, they're buying all of their fuel, their natural resources, their gas from Russia. So wait a minute. We're protecting them from Russia, but they're Russia's best customer? I mean, talk about dumb. I don't know how you could even get dumber than that. So our foreign policy is pretty dumb at this point in so many instances. Pretty darn ridiculous. And yeah, we wonder why we have so many enemies. Everyone that we fund the Taliban to take over whatever. Obama and his administration, the father of ISIS. Look, every time we take out some type of leader, we have some type of coup or some type of regime change, we ally with the side that's going to take him out. We take him out, there becomes more unrest. Then the side that we previously propped up becomes our worst nightmare and our worst enemy. I mean, just look at World War II. We were with the Russians. We weren't, but we were, but we weren't, but we were. Patton, as soon as the Third Reich was taken out, wanted to just keep storming full steam ahead right through Russia and take them out. Patton mysteriously dies in a car accident going 15 miles an hour. But he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, but he was going like 15 miles an hour. Lots of weird stuff happened in the hospital. If you guys are into conspiracy theories, go look into the General Patton. But I'm just saying, I don't know what's going on right now. Intermediate range ballistic missile. I'm hoping the next headline is an intercontinental ballistic missile. I don't know much about Russia and Ukraine at all, actually, guys. I just know that we need to make America first. And I do know this for a fact. I've been studying this topic lately. Putin isn't just like he can just sit there and act like we're going to keep it family friendly. Ukraine's little female dog. That ain't going to fly over there. The people of Russia aren't going to allow that. And he has bureaucracies, ministries. He has top brass he needs to deal with. That's not really an option for Putin right now. You keep rattling his cage. He has to show that he's a strong male leader and that he's going to stand up for the motherland, Russia. He literally has to do that or they'll have a coup and take him out. And I know some of you that are like, well, dude, that'd be awesome if they took him out. Don't say that too fast because there's people in Russia, and I don't just mean regular people that live there. I'm not talking about regular people that live in any of these countries, but there's powerful people in Russia that probably want world war and probably would be quicker to press the button than Putin. So be very careful if you're wishing for that because you don't know what could happen there. A lot of nukes in that country if it just went into like a melee or whatever. A melee. I don't know. Are some of you guys Pam Bondi fans? Maybe you are. Maybe you aren't. I'm a little leery. I would rather have Matt Gaetz. I would definitely rather have Matt Gaetz for sure. But yeah, guys, there's food. There's other props. There's tons of other stuff to think about. I focus on the Second Amendment. So, of course, we're going to gravitate more towards the guns and ammo side of things. And you know what? I really appreciate hanging out with all of you guys tonight. So thank you to all who's watching. And I'll be back with you guys again Friday night and hopefully a video on YouTube in the meantime. But I'm kind of in the mood to exercise my First Amendment protected right a little bit more than I'm allowed to do on here. So I am going to do that. And I'm going to do that on Locals and their sister company that rhymes with Fumble. And I hope I can join all of you guys. And hey, we got over 100 people watching right now. I hope there's 100 people over there. There won't be, because most people like, a little bit or quite a bit more censorship than others. But really, though, like if you think about it, it should be like, if there's 100 people watching on here, there should be like 300 people watching on the censorship-free sites. But we're getting there. My Locals community's growing a lot, and so is the site that rhymes with stumble, as Dale said, right? No, none of that talk tonight, G23. But I am going to get off here, grab a quick drink of my cherry juice. This is good. And I still have a little bit of my blackout coffee. Check out the link down in the description for that as well. Over in the fridge. All right. I will see you guys soon. The links are down there in the description. So you can go right to there and our Locals. And I will see you guys in a few minutes. All right. Thanks for watching and have a good one.